I'm gonna be distracted by the baby. I'm gonna go ahead and call the Blair Township Board of Trustees regular meeting of September 8th, 2020 to order, 6:01 PM. And right now, I'm just gonna put this out there as a disclaimer. We're doing a Zoom also. So if I get distracted because I'm looking at participants that are online and here, that's what I'm doing. Okay. Stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Kukra,
Here.
Wolfgang,
Here.
Blonshine,
Here.
Fitzpatrick,
Here.
Please,
Present.
Zeitz,
Here.
Campbell.
Here. Brief public input. Anybody here tonight? Have any input? Anybody on Zoom? Approval of agenda. I think Lynette wants to add a couple items.
Yes, I would like to add as new business, item I, payroll tax deferral. And as item J, election funding grants. COVID election funding grants.
Anybody else? Anything to add? I'd entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the 2 additions. Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda with the 2 additions of item I, payroll tax deferral, and item J, COVID election funding grants. Roll call.
Please,
Yes.
Kutra,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zeitz,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Blonshine,
Yes.
Wolfgang.
Yes.
Declaration of conflict of interest. Anybody have a conflict with anything on the agenda tonight? Presentation and special reports. Ventura County Commissioner.
Good evening. I don't know if Brad, making his report last month, had talked about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that the board voted to abolish that, and we replaced it with the Home Rehabilitation Trust Fund. It's a trust fund that had been in the land bank, I think since 2010. There's a little over $300,000 in it right now. And to use it for, as it was meant to be used for, obviously was quite cumbersome to access. So we have repurposed that money to home rehabilitation, which any nonprofit that fits the criteria can access those funds. It's strictly for material. It's not for any labor, any legal fees, any engineering, architects. It's strictly material. I think that that will go a long ways to helping some families in our community, keep them in their homes. So if there are any properties in Blair Township that could use that kind of help, it's got to go through nonprofit, Home Stretch, Habitat, Freedom Builders. So if you kind of get them steered in that direction, There's some funds there to help people.
And then for example, Freedom Builders?
Yep.
Then they'll contact,
They will contact the county.
right,
They'll fill out the necessary paperwork to get
Okay.
reimbursed for the materials.
okay.
I'm expecting that's going to go a long ways to helping some of our neighbors.
Yeah,
And it is not going to be, once the money is gone, it's gone. This is not a new program that's going to continue. I'll say unless somebody's going to come forward with money to offer to put into it, but I'm sure we will not refuse any, but we're not going to be
right.
trying to find it.
You
in-
guys with EMS, let us know. I mean, some people are very, very humble or embarrassed to ask for help, but you guys see a lot more than we do. So
Right.
if you come across something that concerns you, especially with winter
Yep.
coming upon, let us know.
And Freedom Builders are,
Yeah.
they're great people
Yeah.
to work with. Any questions regarding that? Wow. Okay. On the 11th of August, we had a special meeting regarding the senior center and the village. No action was taken, so there was no, and I'll say the disappointing thing about it, because the board has been getting, I'll say negative press from the Ticker and from the Record Eagle regarding the senior center and the non-support from the county commission. There has yet to be any city manager, any commissioner from the city come to the board in support of the senior center. And that senior center being built in the city would be, it'd be the same as if Blair Township wanted a senior center built, and you wanted to have the county pass a millage for the opportunity to have a senior center built in Blair Township. The county has no connection with that property, other than that's where programming has been done since there's been a millage for the senior center program.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
But the facility gets utilized by county residents.
That's correct.
So and it's not the county commission passing it, it would be up to the voters.
Correct.
So what's the opposition of putting it on the ballot and letting the voters decide?
When I've gone to my township meetings, for me, when I've gone to my township meetings, I've had one person step up and say, you know what, I'd be in favor of having that on the ballot. So one person in the 4 townships that I go to is not enough for me to want to put it on the ballot.
What would it hurt though?
What would it hurt? No more than it would hurt to have Green Lake Township runs runs a senior center out of there. And so does Fife Lake and Kingsley. And they all take care of their own property and get the services there. And this would be asking the 95% of the people that would be voting on it would not truly know what they were voting on, except if they voted no, they would be voting against the seniors. And I believe it's my responsibility as your commissioner to take what I hear from my district back to the board, which is why I would not support it, because I did not get any. I had one person with positive feedback that they would support it. whenever I asked in the past, so. And I don't think it's the board's, it's just my opinion, it's not the board's obligation to put something like that to the vote of the people without vetting it, and for us as a board to not get any input from the property owners, which is the city, of what they want, and they still don't know what they want. They don't know what it's gonna cost. It's premature on what the city is providing us.
So that's the main reason right there, is
Yeah.
it's premature.
I mean, but.
See, that information hasn't been out there, it's just been, and I'm not for or against, I'm just
Right.
asking the question because my first thought was, why not put it to the vote of people and let the people, we're the ones that are gonna pay for it if we
Right.
pass it.
Right, and I think that if it was gonna be put to the vote of the people, it should be on a piece of county property, so it's a county building, because that would not be a county building. And the city would have had to have put it in front of the city voters, because it's a piece of city parkland, in order to have the county have a lease for, I wanted 100 years, they settled on 50. But then what they couldn't come to terms with was the city wanted to control the parking lot, everything outside of the building. And as the county, we didn't want to be.
Right, so it'd be a city asset paid for by county residents.
Correct. So, but I guess we won't have to be seeing, we won't be seeing that for a couple of years yet. On the 19th of August, the board provided PACE their 90-day notice to terminate the Commission on Aging contract, which means that there was some of the employees of the Commission on Aging that were subcontracted to PACE. There was only 2 clients that the COA was actually working for. And with what the burden of training that would have been on the COA employees to be able to work for PACE with the Medicare and Medicaid. The stipulations that they have, what has to be filled out, and I guess the bar that they need to reach wasn't worth the 2 clients that PACE was having COA with. And at that time, there was only 45 clients that this PACE program has, and that's I think it's a 4 or 5 county wide program. And the county is open for business by appointment only. Yeah, but any questions? Yes.
Ron, of course, you know I was on the board, Commission Agent, on the board of the Senior Center Commission at one time. But I just want to say right now, thank you. And that's been going on, this county, the county senior center on a city park. And even when my buddy, Michael Estes, when he was mayor, we were trying to get him to go on higher lease, because at the time it was only 5 to 10 year lease. But I just want to thank you guys, because by page 2, I worry about how the money's spent. And I'm glad you guys are keeping up with it. So thank you, okay?
welcome things. Anybody else? Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you,
Ron.
Ron.
Night.
Good evening, Matt Krachowski, Grand Traverse Sheriff's Department. With the August 2020 report, my personal stats, a little low. I had some vacation time, so arrests 0, still not arresting any misdemeanors or anything like that. Citations 8, complaints 43, traffic crashes 0, traffic crashes 4, warrants attained 0. Skip scammer prosecuted. Skip scammer is real popular. Happens constantly in stores. When they self-scan, you just like take 2 items and scan one and zing them constantly. Or they just take a bunch and walk them down and put them at the thing so the camera doesn't pick up on it. You know how if you accidentally put one that didn't get scanned, it says, well, that's a way to get around it. So Family Fair called me, I don't know, August 4th. Apparently this lady's been doing it all summer. I watched all the videos. She did it 5 different times. I'm sure if they kept going back and looking at her car and watching video, they'd find more. But the video was really clear what she was doing, but she admitted to it eventually when I went and talked to her. So, high-speed chase called off on 8/31. The one night I decided to stay here till 11 p.m. I instantly regretted it when I got into this chase. The state police put out an email and said that an ex was harassing a lady on Sadie Lane. He had broken her door down at one point. Couldn't prove it, but threatened to kill her, threatened to burn her house down. Her elderly parents came up and stayed with her from downstate. And then the night I worked late, he showed up back at her house and was beating on the door, trying to open the garage door, going all the way around the house, banging on all the windows, throwing stuff at the windows. And then when he left, he got in his F-150 and literally did a donut around her house, through her backyard, ripped up the backyard, and took off. And then that's where he and I met, and he took off, and the chase got really fast, and it was called off. But the next morning, he went to Paradise Township and pulled a gun on his stepdad or a family member, asking for money and trying to get help. The guy obviously didn't want anything to do with him, called the police. And then for about 4 or 5 hours, they searched for him in the woods and found him. And then I went and took him to jail. So he was arrested, and hopefully he goes away for a while, leaves her alone. She was very scared. Good. Any questions? Have a good evening.
Hey, good work on that Blair Town Hall Road.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Hello,
Hi, Andy.
Andy Martin, Grand Traverse County Road Commission. Just when you thought road construction season was over, we fooled you. Cones are going back up. If you plan on traveling across Hammond Road, it's not gonna happen here shortly. We're gonna be doing a big major project from Lafreniere to Garfield and from Garfield to Town Line Road. Gonna be taking the surface off, putting new surface on. 3 bridges are going to be replaced across the Boardman. It's part of a project we've been working on, getting funding from the feds and the state. 2 of them are going to be on River Road, and one's going to be on Garfield. I know you want to know where. I can't remember. But where they cross the river. There's a bridge on those roads. Probably going to happen. If you read the ticker, or you read some of these other little online things, you're going to see it. There's some conversations about Bluff Road. I really love roads that start with B. They've all been a problem. We had to shut down a section of Bluff Road because the road is washing away. The problem is the bank is so tall and the water is so far in that all the damage that was done occurred outside of the road right away. So we can't do any work outside of the road right away, which is not what we're hearing from in the different reports that are being put out there. So we need to work with like Army Corps of Engineers, Eagle, the township, the property owners, a whole slew of people, and spend a large amount of money to replace the bank, stop the erosion, stop it so it doesn't roll down to another section of the road there. And the road services very few cars. The way it's shut down now, and the way it should be able to continue to be shut down is not gonna affect the ability of any resident to get to their property. It does make it inconvenient for a couple of people to get to their beachfront property without having to walk a little ways. So they're able to access their residence, and they can get to their property. They just may have to walk a little ways to get down where the water is if they want to not go down their hill. We're working on trying to get some funding. We're working on trying to figure out how to work with the Army Corps, with Eagle, or the state, if you will, because it is going to be an expensive project, probably about $2.5 million to reinforce that bank. And that's just a guess because we really don't know what needs to be done. It's a lot of dirt, and the water may go away in a year or two, and then all that work was done for nothing. And we might be able to do something.
Or it might keep getting higher.
Right. I mean, the whole list of what could happen is we don't know. So we're waiting for people who actually have that ability to see into the future and predict what needs to be done and give permits and funding to fix that. And as a result, they're fired up, and they've got a couple other people who are fired up. If you look at these folks are about stopping a millage from going through. They're also the same people who are the vocal minority now in the community against a bridge going across the Boardman River. So.
Have they ever done any partnership projects with County Road or suggested that, offered it?
I know we, the road commission, has worked with the township and the residents when it came to some drainage district issues that they had, that we allowed or worked with them in doing some private, public, county, it was a weird setup to do some drainage district. And I think they've done a couple of partnership, but I don't recall when.
But not specifically to Bluff Road. And I only asked just because I read the ticker.
Mm-hmm.
I read some of the statements coming out of Peninsula Township in regards to the road commission, and I just wondered if they've ever anteed up some of their peninsula tax dollars.
I cannot answer that question. It has not been in the last 4 years that I recall.
Okay.
It may have been after that. One of the other things that Peninsula Township is upset about is us possibly taking over, most likely taking over the state road out there, which is a stub road, which the state doesn't want. That's
Well,
the
I would be
state's.
too if I was Peninsula Township, because you don't take care of Bluff Road, why should you?
Well,
I'm just
I understand. But the funny thing is, they're talking about how we're not gonna take care of the road to the level that the state takes care of it. But I don't see MDOT trucks plowing snow. I don't see MDOT trucks doing the ditching.
I was just kidding.
You know, so it's that road anyways, that they're upset about us taking over and not maintaining, is the road that the Grand Traverse County Road Commission has a contract with MDOT to maintain.
Right.
And we're gonna get more money to
I was just
maintain
gonna
that
say, and
road.
there's a financial benefit for you guys to take that. over.
There's a financial benefit for the residents of Grand Traverse County, which include the residents of Peninsula Township. They were upset that we cut trees down on Bluff Road, and then they're saying that the reason that that the erosion is occurring is because trees fell out of the right of way and the root mass ripped all this earth. But that's outside of the scope of that project that we had the big issue with, was it 3 years ago, 2 years, whatever that big, where they cost the road commission $250,000 extra, so that we could try to save, I think we saved 10 trees for that. So there's been some tensions between the Peninsula Board and the Road Commission for a couple of years now, and it started probably with the Bluff Road project, or the Peninsula, or no, it started with the Peninsula Drive project, where we cut a couple of trees on they didn't like.
I'm starting to hear from our residents with the roundabout plan for River Road and Biker, Eastville. What about Hope Road? What about Hope Road? And I'm just starting to refer phone calls to you guys, because I don't know how to answer that, why they put one at River but not at Hope, and there's gonna be one at Hammond now, and
My cop-out answer on that is, we paid a large amount of money to have some experts do a study that involved local units of government, citizens, transportation groups like Pepsi and all them were involved, and anyone who involved in traffic. And that is what the professional consultants that we hired recommended for traffic calming, or not traffic calming, that's what the city does, for helping make the flow of traffic smoother throughout the area.
And maybe the slowing down at both of those intersections will allow more people to actually get out easier.
And once we're done with this line of stuff that we're doing, we may reevaluate, I won't be, but the board may be reevaluating. Are we gonna put another roundabout or do some other kind of traffic control at some of these other locations?
Because Hope's right in the middle of it, and that's a very busy intersection.
You know, and there's stuff that sometimes just gets overlooked. You know, there's so many moving parts. And it might not be an issue today, but when you change a couple of things, it may create an issue. I mean, you look what happened out on 72 by Myers there in Williamsburg, where they put 2 roundabouts to keep the flow of traffic going, and then MDOT decided we're gonna put a traffic light to stop traffic because it's a dangerous intersection. And that just defeated some of the purpose of the roundabouts because they weren't. So that might be changing out there too, because of when you change traffic patterns here, something else happens over here. So that could be, it's really hard talking to you without being able to see your facial expression.
I hate it.
The Hope Road issue is a nightmare right now. So when you remove the light and you put in the roundabout, there's no way for traffic to stop. It's going to be a continuous motion. So therefore, it's going to be even tougher to make the left off of Hope.
However, the engineers, the experts, say that by putting in roundabouts, it creates pauses or breaks in the traffic flow because some drivers are unable to navigate the roundabouts in a quick and smooth way, so that naturally creates a bigger break in the traffic that you're not getting on with the traffic lights for some reason. Now, I'm not a traffic engineer, and I sometimes don't believe what they tell me, but that's what some of the things that they talk about. And they talk about pedestrians were some issues in some of the areas that we talked about when South Airport Road was discussed as a potential for putting roundabouts in along there. One of the things that they had said is you're going to have an easier time getting pedestrians across because there's going to be natural breaks caused in the traffic because of the traffic patterns that end up in a roundabout. I don't buy it, but I didn't like roundabouts 10 years ago either. Now I think they have a purpose now. I didn't before, and now that I see it and it's actually happening, I'm like, that doesn't go with what my logic tells me would happen, but it is working.
I mastered them this year on vacation.
You go to the UP?
No, I was, Hilton Head.
I went through
South Carolina, and
Marquette.
I was the driver. And I
Marquette is
mastered
every intersection is a roundabout, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I got a lot of.
They're putting more in. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I think I've almost done the report. You guys 2 months left?
Oh, I was, two more?
Maybe November will be my last meeting if you guys have it before the 20th. Unless something weird happens on election. So have your questions
Well,
ready.
you've
'cause
been
I don't
an
want
awesome
Yeah.
county road representative. I say that, I've said it before.
Thank you.
And I sincerely mean it. You're dedicated and you're always here. And if you don't know the answer, you always get it. So I really appreciated working with you as a road commissioner.
hopefully you'll have someone else be.
I hope so.
Thank you,
Find
Andy.
somebody else to do our movies, or meetings too?
As long as our meetings aren't on Tuesday, I can still continue to do that.
Okay.
Treasurer's report.
All right, general funds, 3,444,478. Public safety fund, 656,061. Ambulance fund, 697,857. Metro Act fund is 77,541. Liquor law enforcement fund is $30,036. Sewer fund is $1,881,261. Water fund is $2,228,473. Current tax collection is $584,114. Payroll clearing is $171. Milfoil is $8,387 for a total of $9,608,379.13.
Any questions for Tracy? Announcements and correspondence. You guys all saw the letter from East Bay Township. Their intent to amend their master plan. Does anybody have any concerns with it? Tracy let me know today that we received our first reimbursement from the PFAS grant. I submitted a bill last month to Lynette, and the state's already reimbursed us. I got notice today from the state that I need to get on the contractor to get the rest of his work done and bills submitted because of something with their physical year. I don't know, but that was a fast turnaround. I was impressed to see that today, that they've already reimbursed us, so. I don't know, I probably have more, but I can't remember. Does anybody have anything?
Do you want to say anything about the grants? Or not yet?
The hazardous plan? We still have not received official notice that we're going to receive the hazardous pay for our first responders, but we basically received.
I was on the webinar today with the Department of Treasury, and they have set aside, I want to say 100 million, and they only have 36 million that has been spoken for at this point. For the $1,000 per
hazardous duty pay.
Yeah, hazardous. So all of our EMS, EMT would get 1,000. EMT and firefighters would get 1,000. And then the other one, they have over, I want to say they had 200,000 or 200 million set aside. They have requests for 350 million, so that would probably be prorated. So for and that one was to cover like Officer Krachewski's wages and that.
Not to your pocket.
Yeah. So that one.
We're supposed to hear this week on the hazardous duty pay. It was supposed to come out August 24th with the announcements, but it's federal funding dollars and there's a little bit of a delay, but we're pretty confident that we're gonna win that grant for our employees.
That'd be nice.
And then we also got, instead of part of our state revenue, we usually get a CBT fund, which is about $4,500. Well, we got $7,500, but it's CARES funding, so we can't use it like we have in the past. So I know Lynette's got to call into the auditors because it's clear as mud is what you can do with it. And that, so we're still waiting to find out, but it's not revenue replacement. You can only use it towards certain things that's COVID related. So we have $7,500 to do that, and you have to report like 16 times on what you do with the money.
And you're thinking today, and the paperwork's this thick and it's very confusing, and that's
This is
reference
it.
this, reference that, reference this. But
For
kind of
$7,500.
for $7,500, but $7,500 going into the fire EMS equipment line item would be very helpful to them. You know, if they buy a fogging machine or special COVID stuff, it would be a headache on our part, but if we can get $7,500 to
Right.
put back into fire and EMS,
We'll do it.
we'll do it, yeah. So.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with in one board motion without discussion. Any member of the board may ask that any item of the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will automatically be respected.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I wanted to pull the minutes from August 11th. Just in the presentation and special report, the Grand Traverse County Road Commission report. In last month's meeting, I specifically asked Andy why would Grand Traverse County Road be taking over state highway roads if they're already anticipating a big revenue loss due to COVID? And I asked him to explain that, and he did. I think that should be noted in the minutes. I mean, that was a conversation, and I was putting it out to the public to make the public aware that there is a financial benefit for them to be doing that.
State's gonna pay them to take it
It's
over.
an increase in funding from the MTA, or from the Michigan Transportation Fund above what we would normally get for that per lane mile.
Yeah, and I think that needs to be reflected in the minutes, because, I mean, I remember I specifically said, I know the answer to this, but the public doesn't. And you talked about the revenue loss due to COVID, and then went right on about taking over new roads. So,
Can you say that one more time, Andy?
On the sections of road that we're taking over, we're receiving additional money per lane mile
From the Michigan,
above what the Michigan Transportation Fund would normally provide. Trying to think about how to put it in a minute line.
there's a huge financial benefit to Grand Traverse County.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
which sounds like a lot, but road commission money is really not. This one does a little bit of road. But when you're losing 30% of your budget,
right, and that's why I wanted that out there. Dennis, you still make a motion?
I will.
Support.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar with the addition of the Grand Traverse County Road Commission receiving additional monies per lane and mile from the state.
Got it.
Something like that.
support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the consent calendar with the addition of the August 11th, 2020 minutes in regards to Grand Traverse County Road Commission and their financial benefit for taking over state highway roads. Roll call?
Wolfgang,
yes.
Please,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Lunshine,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Kutra,
Yes.
Zeit.
Yes.
Oh, I just thought of something. It's not a change or addition, I just wanted to make sure, our operation services report just came in today. And I just want to point out to you guys to make sure you read it specifically under his activity summary in regards to our water plant, our new iron removal water plant, overpressurizing again, and blew out all the differential gauges again. So we have a meeting Thursday morning, I'll be up there. Yeah, so just make sure you read that in the notes, and West Tech is aware of it, and ABI and Brian, so. It's shut down. It's been shut down since last week. Again. Okay. Unfinished old business. Tracy, you wanna do the tax foreclosure?
Well,
Our Luann Lane Road property.
we've been going back and forth on this. Right now, because there's a bill in the House, and it hasn't passed, so we don't kind of know, talking to Heidi, you don't know which way it's gonna go, whether it's going to go that if you have a house and it goes in tax foreclosure, if they collect more than they owe on the taxes, so your taxes are, you know, at 5,000, they collect 10,000. In the past, the county's kept that. Now there's a bill out there to say, no, you have to give that back to the homeowner. And that, so it's a very controversial. So Heidi suggested that we not purchase that right now.
At
and
the first
that-
auction.
At the first auction. And that let it go and see if it comes around to the second one.
Yeah, actually not the first auction, as the first right of refusal. We let-
Right.
We let it go to auction to see
What happens
if
to it.
somebody purchases it, but she's going to put a warranty bond on the property that has been declared a dangerous building. So it will have to be demoed, lot cleared up, out of there. $25,000 surety bond.
Yeah.
Somebody will have to put up front, plus whatever it sells for at auction,
Mhm.
at first auction. And then it goes to a second auction. And then she said at that point, maybe something would have happened
With the new
in
bill.
legislation
Mhm.
with the new bill. But she said right now,
Okay.
It's very wishy-washy.
yeah.
And currently, if we purchase it right now, we can't like clean it up and sell, even though that wasn't our intention. Our
Right.
intention is to get it cleaned up and use it for the neighborhood and that for green space. But right now, if we bought it, we can't resell it as a profit. If we make a profit, then that money goes to the county. And that, if this bill does pass, then we have to buy it for fair market value. And then, we have free and clear, we can do with it whatever we want. But I mean, again, the bill's very controversial and going back and forth, so we don't know what it will do. So we decided to hold off on this one, even though it's a great lot and a great idea. We just don't wanna be sunk in a hole that we
For our
can't dig out
first
of.
one that
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
That all of a
Yeah.
sudden with legislation, we get,
Yeah.
you know, all confused and so. That's what we thought. I
Good
mean,
move.
we'll take other people's thoughts, opinions, comments.
I agree, that would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was getting too muddy.
And Heidi even consulted with the county attorney to
Yeah, there's too many unknowns.
free
right?
legal advice.
Yeah, right.
It's worth what you paid for it.
Right.
So is everybody in agreeance? Because we did have a motion last month to purchase it.
Do we need a motion to?
I think we should, just because we made a
Yeah.
motion and supported and passed it to purchase it. So due to the information that we've obtained, you know, since
Right.
last month, I'll make a motion that we take the advice and hold off on the purchase of the tax foreclosed home on Luann Lane.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we hold off on the purchase of the tax foreclosed property on Luann Lane. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Please,
Yes.
Kutra,
Yes.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
Flanstein,
Yes?
Zeitz,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
New business. We have a little ceremony for a newly elected fire captain.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to the employees. We recently had our pump op training from Waterous. Gentleman flew in from Arizona. And a couple weeks before that, we had our biomed people here from southeast Michigan at different times, and they both commented on what a positive attitude our staff had. They're a good group of people and participated and worked with them, so it says a lot. We know that, but it helped.
It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
From an
Yeah.
outsider.
So the captain's interview committee consisted of Traverse City Fire Chief Jim Toller. He led the interview committee. Lead captain for Cadillac City Fire Department, Steve Van Dyke. Forest Fire Supervisor with the DNR, Steve Cameron, and Springfield Fire Chief Dave Feichter. Chief Parker, Grant, and I went and met with the interview committee after they were finished to get the results, and they commented on the high caliber of applicants that we had. There wasn't anybody that was no, absolute no. They're all good caliber, good quality employees, and it made for a tough decision for them.
Did everybody apply? Did everybody that applied get an interview?
Yes. So it was nice to hear the interview committee leaders from around the area complimenting on the caliber of applicants that we had for this position.
Good evening, everyone. We've done this before, so real short with the tradition of the fire service is pretty big, and we've trying to start some different traditions and things with that. And one of them is the pinning of the captains and the swearing in, just like we did with the push in and the wet down of the fire engine. But was able to, obviously, as Eric said, of having special people, and it's great to see people moving up in the department. And having a challenge of that committee, which is a good thing for that. But it's also a challenge or rewarding as being a management of seeing staff succeed. And I reached out to Dan's original fire chief, and he's with us tonight. And I'm gonna have Chief Royston to come up and say a couple things before we ask Lynette and Grant to help us with the pinning and swearing in. So Chief Royston.
Thank you. I'm kind of unprepared for this. I guess I just want to mention that this is what fire chiefs strive for. I don't know, how many years you've been in the service now? 11 years. 11 years ago, we had this 17 or 18-year-old pipsqueak walk through the fire station door, said he wanted to be a volunteer firefighter. So when you take on new paid on-call employees especially, you're taking a chance on them. I think as everybody here knows, and we took a chance on Dan, and we couldn't have done better at Delhi. Dan came up to Leland when I was chief in Leland. I hired him as a full-time employee there, and he moved to Blair. And all I gotta say is you're getting yourself a really good captain. I'm proud of him as an old fire chief. I'm proud to say we trained him originally.
Good job, Chief.
Thank you. I think we trained him good. We're proud of all of our employees, but Dan floated to the top. He floated to the top here, obviously, and I am willing to bet you will never be sorry of the promotion that you're going to make. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. With that, Dan will go up to Lynette for the first part of the ceremony, the swearing in.
I'll do it right here, Dan. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of
the office
of Fire Department Captain
Fire Department Captain
in and for the Township of Blair,
in and for the Township of Blair,
County of Grand Traverse,
County of Grand Traverse,
and state of Michigan,
and state of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
You'll sign right here, and then print your name afterwards.
I'll ask Grant to go over and help. Also, the tradition is to have a family member, someone that Dan chooses. He chose his wife and daughter to pen his bugles on his collar.
Just kidding. Come on. You can help Mama.
Push hard.
Oops. Ah, honey. Honey. Can't see. Yeah. Good job. Okay. Open that door. Thank you. There. Oh, thanks.
I got it. It's right there.
My hands.
Pour yourself together, Grant.
Tap on them real good, they'll stay.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Whoever's taking pictures, make sure you send me some.
They take your masks off.
I know, put your masks down, you guys.
Yeah, put your mask on.
Yeah.
I'll saw you on, Dan.
Oh, good.
Oh, your poor glasses.
Now you're teasing.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jason Torrey, 911 surcharge.
Oh, finally. All right. I'm Jason Torrey. I'm the 911 director for Grand Traverse County, and I'm here tonight to just kind of recap the 911 surcharge, the ballot proposal that's going to be on the ballot in November, answer any questions that you might have regarding either the ballot proposal or 911 in general, because I don't see a lot of you very often, so we can take advantage of the opportunity. So I did submit something to the clerk, I think through the S director there to distribute, so hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to review that. It kind of outlines the 911 surcharge, what the local 911 surcharge supports in terms of personnel, capital, radio communications, and infrastructure components associated with not only the delivery of the 911 service, but also the portable, the mobile, and the peripheral radio communication devices such as the pagers that everybody, all the first responders in this room carry every day. So when you talk about the current surcharge, it was in effect in 2014. It was a total approved surcharge at $185. So here we are 6 years later, we've made a major investment in our 800 megahertz technology. We've assessed the operation, the needs of the operation to move forward, and we did a budget forecasting model out to what this surcharge would carry us through, which is 2027. And so through that process with the 911 Board of Directors and our technical team, and then ultimately through an approval process with the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners, we came to a conclusion that we needed to request of the voters for a $2.50 surcharge. That would be a monthly device fee. So currently you're paying $185 if you have any kind of prepaid wireless service or VoIP, landline, anything that has access to 911 is assessed a surcharge rate. So the $250 would be in lieu of the $185, not in addition to. Like I said, it would be on each device that you're currently getting assessed a surcharge today. So it's different than a millage in that it's not a property value based thing, it's a user access fee. So what we are putting on the ballot proposal, like I said, is a $2.50. It's pretty much the average in the region with Misaki, Benzie, Kalkaska. I think there's one more I referenced in there, Wexford maybe. And this is an up to fee, right? So as we navigate through the annual process of presenting the budget to the 911 Board of Directors and then ultimately the Commission, the Board of Commissioners, they have the discretion then to say, okay, do we need to assess $250? Or over the course of 2 or 3 years, can we say, look, we're meeting our goals and our objectives, or we save money here, so we can, maybe we only need to assess $2.40 the following year. So that's an annual review of the surcharge rate. And that will be done by the Board of Commissioners. It has to be approved by the Board of Commissioners every year.
So it's like a 75-cent increase.
65, maximum. Maximum. The benefits, if I can highlight a few of the benefits specifically, I guess, for Blair Township, the infrastructure improvements that we want to seek out are an additional, what they call an ASR. So it's a site registration thing. So it's an added tower to the radio communication system. That tower, we have an existing 300-foot guide tower on River Road, just happens to be in Blair Township. So what we are working with the MPSCS, which is the Michigan Communication Public Safety Communication System, to navigate a design plan to see if we can use that existing tower to erect the necessary equipment to provide the backfill communications for all of Grand Traverse County. But geographically speaking, Blair and Paradise and Garfield and some of these closer municipalities that are in proximity to that particular tower are going to benefit the most. So as an example, that's one project that we would complete. We would complete resiliency and redundancy by creating a microwave loop in the system. So if we have one go down, that we won't lose the second. Everything, I hate to use the fact that we've put all our eggs in one basket. We have lots of redundant backup plans and things that can get us through a time in which we had an outage. However, having that microwave loop would establish the core connectivity from my 911 center into the system never goes down. And if my folks at the 911 center cannot communicate out, the folks out in the field are kind of dead in the water as well. So that's an imperative piece moving forward, that we get that done and look at that as being a critical component to the radio communication system. In addition to that, not only the technologies that my people benefit from inside the operation, but then technologies that we need to make sure that we're planning for the future of the fire EMS law enforcement services. Make sure that we're looking at our P25 pagers, tuning, replacement, programming, and make sure that we're prepared to outfit them with what they need moving forward. Any questions?
Your information sheet was good.
Very good.
It was very thorough.
Yep.
And I don't know if I mentioned it in my cover letter, but if you can circulate it within your communication throughout the township, I would appreciate it. I'm here to answer any calls or respond to any emails from anybody. And yeah, I just want to make sure I was out here to talk to you directly and answer any questions that you might have. Do you have any other questions related to 911 in general? Anything? That means we're doing a good job. I'll take that.
I got one question.
Yes.
It doesn't do that. Dave Torrey, you relation to Dave Torrey?
That's my father.
Okay, I went to school with Dave.
Okay.
Tell him Carl Kuchar, or you might know me by Cooch, tell him I said hi,
Okay,
okay?
will do. All right, well, thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you
here.
much.
So now we got your family tree lined up. That's right.
Thank you.
Item C, hiring GIS for station study.
So, we got some big projects coming up. One of them, which has been a debate here for years, is do we build one central station, do we build a substation, remodel this one? Either way, it's gonna be a big cost. I've reached out to a consulting firm, they wanna charge $25,000 to $30,000 to do a study for us. We've already reached out to ISO, they've given us some information free of charge. We've reached out to the IFF, they've given us a limited report, but they won't, the IFF will not give a projection into the future. So Cassie, I'm not gonna say your last name, just graduated from MSU with a GIS certificate. And she has the ability to put together a lot of the information we need. This is a new station, it's not gonna be for next week, it's gonna be for the next 50 years. And it's gonna be a large project, so I'd like to have information and backing supporting the decision that we have going forward. So I'd like to hire Cassie as a payer on a 1099, put some information. One of the things I've talked to her about is looking at the master plan where it shows a resident area zoned for residency and it's vacant land now. She can map that with a zone population density and we can estimate the call volume of that existing population. So it's a way of estimating call volumes in the future.
You lost me at MSU.
Go green.
I would move to approve hiring Cassie, how do you say it?
Prisbilski.
Prisbilski, as an independent contractor at $20 per hour, up to $2,000, to provide the EMS and fire department with the GIS information they're looking for to determine where to build a new station.
No, not to determine where to build
Where?
it, to assist in the study.
Study.
I'll support that. It's been moved and supported to hire Cassie Prisbilski. Say it again, Cassie.
Prisbilski.
Prisbilski? We just say
Keep on
Ricky Bobby. As an independent contractor at $20 an hour, up to $2,000 to assist with the GIS study for future station study. Whatever. We got that correct motion, right? Any further discussion? I just want to add that Eric's done a lot of research on this. He's been crunching numbers for months and months and months. He's been communicating with me. You know, we're going back and forth on this station here, over on the east side, a substation, but then staffing becomes an issue, and then maybe a central location, because we can't short staff here, la la la. I mean, lots and lots of conversation, and this is in our, probably I would say in the next term of office, we're going to have to do something in regards to building a new station. So gathering all of this information, I believe is vital, especially if in our future, which it is, we will have to go out for a millage increase or an increase with a special assessment, because the growth that's happening in our township, these guys have to be able to keep up with it. And the rate that the millage is at right now is kind of status quo. So the more information we can obtain to be able to put out to our constituents and to the residents to back the funding that's gonna be needed is really important, I think. And this is a big part of it. Eric had to convince me of it because I'm like, oh, another study. And then Cassie popped up, so. Roll call?
Flannery.
Yes.
Kuchar.
Yes.
Wolfgang.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Zeiss.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Item D, recording software agreement.
So I don't know if you guys read the 35-page agreement. I took 3 naps during that. But we've been, our current software is EMS charts for EMS documentation. Our current software for fire reporting is Firehouse. Of course, larger companies are buying other companies out. Zoll purchased EMS charts, ESO purchased Firehouse. Firehouse has limited upgrades. They're keeping it compliant, but they're not doing any upgrades with it. So Chief Parker and Grant have been working, it's actually been a year looking at different programs. They've had people from ESO come up, do a presentation. They've looked at physio control software for EMS. Chief Parker's looked at another fire reporting software. It came down to ESO and Image Trend. Everybody was on board with ESO until we looked at the cost factor and said it's not worth that. It flows, ESO flows a little bit better, but the other benefit of Image Trend is that's a state recognized compliant software. So whenever we do a report, different parts of that report is downloaded to the state for reporting to the state and nationally. And Image Trend is that nationally, that state certified software.
Does the state ever change that? Like if we purchase this, could the state come in, this is a Kim question, like in 6 months and say, you know what, we're not recognizing Image Trend anymore?
The state.
Can do anything they want.
Right.
Rick Sharp at Northlight handles all that, and he has not said anything about the state changing any of the requirements. Because he's getting ready to retire, so we've been talking about it quite a bit, what needs to be done. He has not mentioned anything he's heard of.
Yeah, as of last year, the year before, EMS charts, the documentation requirement to be downloaded to the state for their statistics. Grant had to work with EMS charts because EMS charts had to get their software compliant to the state to download. And I think we were on the naughty list for a little while until Grant got it straightened around with the EMS charts.
Always a little blue.
Grant's always on the naughty list.
So if you look at the cost of Image Trend, if you remember, we've increased the cost in the fire budget center during budget time $2,000. But EMS is going to stay about the same cost as we're paying for EMS charts, so there's not gonna be, we've already planned for it with the fire budget and EMS charts. EMS budget should be about the same. Anything else you guys got to add?
I would move to approve going with Image Trend software for EMS and fire reporting software.
It's been moved and supported to purchase the image trend software for fire and EMS reporting. The software for EMS and fire reporting. Any further discussion?
I can add something.
Go ahead.
With this software, their pricing is based off call volume. So that's where you see the Paradise Emergency Services. I'll be presenting this to share with them. So they're gonna piggyback on our major contract, but they will be billed separately. They'll have their own contract with Image Trend, but we both get that break in price with that call volume.
This is the price break?
The first one.
$7,342.96.
Yes, that's with us and Paradise together. And then the one below that would be the cost to us without Paradise.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Patrick,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yeah.
Lundshtein,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Wolfgang.
Yes.
Good grief, Eric, this whole agenda is all about you.
I know.
You must have very, very important.
I agree. Item B, in-house emergency services billing.
With the, Acumen currently does all of our billing for EMS and fire. I think they're a decent billing company. They're a very large billing company. They have 110 to 120 employees. So we do not get that personal care that we should have. We're a very small piece of their pie. And there's many days that, many hours that I spend, Tracy spends tracking back, correcting their mistakes.
Constantly.
Yeah, and if you look at the, like our intercept billing, they're collecting 7% of every intercept bill for sending one statement out in the mail. We've been working with Kim from North Lake. Talking with her, sitting through, looking at different programs, listening to her. I believe we can have that personal touch to our residents and the people we serve. Some personal attention. With talking with Kim, I believe, I don't know how to show this, but I believe we're gonna have a better return with our billing. And with the numbers that I put together, it's going to cost us less than what we're paying Acumen. So it's a big step. Kim's willing to help. She put forth a lot of effort and time helping us decide that. And I'd like to move forward with us performing our billing in-house for EMS and fire. And with that image trend, oh, that's the next thing, huh? So I guess first step is the decision to do all our billing in-house. Any questions for that? I mean, that's a big ticket.
I looked at the numbers and I'll make the motion to hire Kim to do our in-house emergency services billing.
Support.
Any further discussion? Does it have to, what do you call her?
Independent contractor.
Independent
But
contractor.
he said she's gonna be an employee.
Surprise.
So, yeah, we need to decide that. That's what he told me earlier,
That's the impression that we talked about, is for her to be for,
a part-time employee.
yeah.
I don't have my paperwork right in front of me because I left it at my desk.
I know.
That's why I didn't even think of Kim's last name.
DeLeon.
Julian.
I think it'd be wise.
As a part-time employee.
As a part-time employee. Yep. Yes.
Got that?
Yep.
That adds more work to my office.
We appreciate it.
Who was that?
Why does that add more work to your office, Tracy?
Because we get more checks in, so
Oh,
we have to do all
yeah.
that and work with Kim.
Yeah, and I can help you with that.
Yeah, that's a good
Thank
thing you got a lot of time.
Kim's awesome to work with too.
Oh, thank you.
She is, and Kim actually used to do our billing for Blair EMS.
Yep.
Under contract.
So I worked with,
For
you know,
many years.
residents and not billing them, making sure that they aren't, that they're well taken care of if they call with any questions and, yeah.
Roll call.
Zeitz,
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
Flanstein,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kutrah.
Yes.
Do we really need a $500 chair?
I just estimated that. They're expensive.
No.
Jimmy Carroll told me, chairs are like a good pair of boots. You don't go short.
My ball chair, I can't use it right now.
She's old, her hips out.
It was $80.
I just saw that and giggled.
Eric doesn't like to put sheet
What's that?
on the chair.
That made me giggle.
Item F, billing software agreement.
Well, now that we have a billing clerk.
Hello, Miller.
Image Trend, obviously, with the computers, you want them to integrate and be able to connect with each other, and Image Trend has a good program for that, so. I anticipate, I believe it's 90 days for them to get all the software for us, make all the changes, do the training. So I'm anticipating January 1 for this, but see with the billing software also. Should we have a motion, because that's a little,
What?
that's a separate agreement, so
Yeah.
I anticipate it.
I would move to approve the Image Trend billing software for the EMS and fire billing.
It's been moved and supported to approve the Image Trend billing software for fire and EMS billing. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Please,
Yes.
Zeitz,
Yes.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
Flanstein,
Yes.
Kutrah,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Thank you for your support. These are some big projects to move forward.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric.
So next month you won't have anything for the agenda, right?
Item G, discussion regarding state required designated assessor. The county commissioners didn't act on this at their last meeting. I think they're anticipating acting on it. I think we're meeting
I think, when is that, September 16th?
third Wednesday, yeah, the 16th or the 17th. What it is, the state is requiring counties to have one specific designated assessor in the event that the township assessors fail their AMR, which I don't think Grand Traverse County has a problem at all with their assessors. I know they have had big problems downstate with assessors failing the AMR. So in the event that our assessor, or Grand Traverse County assessor, were to fail an AMR, rather than have them redo the process, they bring in a designated assessor. And in Grand Traverse County's case, it's going to be Bill, who's the Grand Traverse County.
His name Bill?
Yeah, yeah. I can't think of his last name right now. From the equalization department, but yeah, it's Bill. So the county is going to designate him at the next county commissioners meeting. What we will have to do then is adopt a resolution basically supporting that, saying that, yeah. So we thought that the county commissioners were gonna act on it at their last meeting, which is when this agenda was done, before I went on vacation, but they didn't. So we'll see it next month. So we don't have to do anything. Item H, township credit cards.
So last month, we made a motion to add Cindy as a authorized user. This has been a whole ordeal with Forefront. So I got Eric Darling taken off. And Cindy is now authorized to talk to them. Both of us are, about things with our account. But as for the credit cards, they want to issue Tracy, me, and Cindy all credit cards with our names on it. And I don't think that's necessary, but I wanted to put that out there. The ones that just say Blair Township, they said anybody could, they don't check those signatures, you know. They don't look at who's signing those. Because it just says Blair Township. Now, we have 2 credit cards that just say Blair Township. As far as I know, Tracy has one in her office, I have one in my office. As far as I know, with Tracy does the same thing as I do. It stays in her safe unless she needs to use it for something. So it's not like we're carrying them around in our purse. And I think that's fine. I prefer not to have a township credit card with my name on it. But I just wanted to, I guess I would like something in the minutes saying this is what we want, so I can give that to Forefront and be done with this. That we don't want any, that we have the credit cards we have right now and nothing else.
I'm so confused. I don't see what the issue is at all. We have a credit card in your office, that's a township credit card. She has a credit card locked in the safe, that's a township credit card.
I know, but they want to give us more credit cards. I'm like, no.
They want the names on the credit
Yes.
cards, so they can say,
Well, they can want
oh,
one hand
so-and-so
and- yeah.
charged this and that.
Yeah, I mean, she keeps it under lock and key, and you have to basically give your firstborn child, and you don't get that child back if you don't give the credit card back. It's very, very secure, so why do we have to change anything?
I don't want to, I just want something that, in the
Because
minutes,
Forefront
to
is
give to
asking-
Forefront.
Is wanting to
Tell
do
them
it.
no.
She needs
But
a
with it being
motion.
government, they want it the minutes, they don't want just one person saying, no, we don't want this, they want it,
Yeah.
It has to be a joint thing.
right,
saying
because it's a
okay.
government credit card.
Well, then, make a motion, and I'll support it.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to have credit cards in Bill Parker's name, Nicole Blonshine, Eric Somso. There's,
You.
no,
No, she's got one that says Blair Township.
Oh, okay.
and just keep the other two Blair Township.
That other
Cards.
employees could use if necessary.
Yes, if they give me their firstborn child.
Right.
You can give mine back.
Right,
Oh, what?
that's right, I'll
I
take
said
the
you
card.
give mine back.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
Zeitz,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Kuchera,
Yes.
Blonshine,
Yes.
please.
Now let me know if Forefront asks for a copy of these minutes.
Oh, they will.
Oh, they will not.
They will.
Yeah.
They did
they
the
do.
last time I was there.
Honor's the same way.
It's just cover your,
They just want more credit cards out there.
Well, yeah, and that's,
well, they want to cover themselves too. or-
Well, they want you to shred the two that say Blair Township,
no,
right?
she said to keep them locked up in a safe.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They don't like to give out cards. They really don't like to do that anymore, give out cards without somebody's name on them.
They must be her cousin.
I'm not saying a word.
Item I, payroll tax deferral.
Okay, so, President Trump's memorandum directing the Treasury Department to defer payment of employees' side Social Security payroll taxes for employees making less than $4,000 pre-tax per bi-weekly pay period, which would be all of our employees. It's slated to begin for wages paid on or after September 1st. It's not a tax cut. You would still end up repaying that in 2021 unless Congress passes legislation to make the deferral permanent. And it is the employer's option to do this. I recommend we do not do it. Like it says, they're gonna have, unless there's legislation passed, they're gonna have to pay it back anyways. And I
In the
think it
first
could,
quarter.
yeah, and I think it could become an accounting nightmare.
And it's not gonna pass.
The other thing that I thought was really interesting with this is that the employers may make arrangements to collect the deferred taxes from the employees. In practice, that means so long as you make arrangements for repayment ahead of time, employees will be expected to pay the deferral taxes. If the employee were to separate from employment before repayment, however, that obligation would come right back to the employer.
Mhm.
Absent,
Yeah.
absent an agreement with the employee.
Yeah.
So, I would make a motion that Blair Township does not participate in the payroll tax deferral.
I support that.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion?
Kuchera,
Yes.
Blonshine,
Yes.
Zeitz,
Yes.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
I just said too, I thought this was so weird because I personally would think it should be up to the employee, not the employer. I mean, who are we to make the decision to say, Robbie, you're not gonna pay your social security taxes
Until January.
until
Yeah.
January.
And then you're gonna pay it double that then.
Right, then we're gonna sock you for the
Right,
first
you'll
quarter.
make a little bit more, but you better save it.
Wonderful, dude.
Yeah.
Item J, election COVID funding, grant funding.
Yep, the Center for Tech and Civic Life, whoever they are, has, expanded their COVID-19 response grant program to all U.S. local election jurisdictions. So if you run elections, you're eligible for this grant. It doesn't sound like it's too difficult to get, but they do ask, who authorized me to apply for this grant. So I just need authorization to apply for this grant. Can be used for anything, you know, PPE, anything like that. One of the things that has been talked about is hazard pay for election workers. So I could pay them extra for
I read
Over and
page
above.
2 for tabulators, for absentee
Mhm.
tabulators.
Yep.
I make the motion to authorize the clerk to apply for COVID grant election funding.
Support.
Any further discussion?
Roger.
Roll call?
Sunshine,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
Kuchar,
Yes.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
Dyke,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Any extended public input? Let me check all of our Zoom participants.
Yep.
Oh, none.
None.
Meeting adjourned. None showed up.